I'm not sure who you are or how you found me, but this channel just houses evidence of me becoming the most interesting woman in the world. Okay, not really. I'm kind of just impulsive and I like lists, but so far I've won a sweepstakes, I grew a forest of avocados, I shaved my head, I watched The Simpsons, and most recently I thought, you know what's cooler than running a marathon with no proper training and a bad attitude about running? Running an ultra marathon as part of Spartan's Trailfecta challenge to get some extra pieces of shiny metal. In case you missed it, I did not prepare for this. I had plans to prepare. I ran a Santa race last December, right about this time. It was a 5K race. I was outpaced by a 6-year-old, and I was about 10 minutes slower than the last time I ran a 5K when I was 13. The only other time I ran a 5K. So if you stuck around this long, here's a lengthy example of how not to train for any kind of distance or trail race. My goal upon entering the Spartan Trailfecta was simple: to get the medal. But to get the medal, I had to cross the finish line and not get cut off at one of those cutoff times and get shuttled back in like a golf cart. So the Trailfecta consists of a 10K, a half marathon, and a 50K, which is something like 4 miles longer than a normal marathon. And I think that makes it an ultra race, but if I haven't got my point across yet, I'm not a runner and I don't really know runner jargon. Let's be real, I was using duct tape instead of like runner's tape on my feet. So 5K Santa run out of the way. By the time the 10K rolled around, I had just reached about like 9K in practice runs on a road. I hadn't really realized until the race began that trail runs meant you're going straight up a mountain. Elevation, I guess, sounds cool and all and means something to most people, but I didn't pay a heck of a lot of attention to elevation changes. Even still, I don't pay much attention to elevate. You tell me today that we're going on a hike 10,000 feet up and I don't really know what that means. So I felt like I barely made it to the finish line of the 10K race. And at the finish line, I really thought that, okay, I need to actually prepare for the next race because it's going to be twice as far. But I got a new job and I moved to a different state, which shouldn't have changed anything because trail running by nature kind of just lets you run anywhere in most places. Nevertheless, I used it as an excuse to take extra naps and run like once a week and twice if I was feeling motivated. Half marathon rolls around, and the farthest distance I have yet traveled is the 10K from like 3 months prior. About halfway through the half marathon, my body hurt. This is absolutely kicking my ass. I've probably got another 5K to go. Most of me feels fine, but my hips aren't working anymore. My hips did not want to lift my legs anymore, so I just kind of was like stumbling along until I got to the finish line because, again, I wanted a shiny medal. And if you've caught on to where we're heading in this story, 50K race day comes up pretty quickly, and I have, once again, only run as far as the last race when I ran the last race. So I walked into the 50K having only run a half marathon several months prior. I'm kind of waiting at the registration, looking around, and everyone looks really prepared for this race. These people look like runners, like they're meant to be here. And I look like I just rolled out of bed and put on a freaking skeleton costume because that's what I did. For the 50K, I signed up for the Golden Gate Classic. I grew up in San Francisco, it seemed fitting. Also, it meant that my parents were going to give me a ride and feed me ravioli the night before for free. But the thing about the Golden Gate Classic is that there's no foot traffic allowed across the Golden Gate Bridge after 6:30 p.m. Now, the race started at like 7, and the announcer guy said that we had plenty of time. It was a generous buffer, and I'm looking around thinking, surely someone else must not think this is such a generous buffer. Like, we're cutting things close here. No, just me. Just me. So off we went into the Marin Headlands and to beaches and through forests and up and over mountains. And you'll never guess what time I got to the bridge. Seriously, if for whatever reason you made it this far in the video, leave a comment what time you think I made it back to the Golden Gate Bridge, knowing that the cutoff time was 6:30 for pedestrian foot traffic. Did you guess? 6. I made it back to the bridge at 6. And I did stumble across the finish line, and I got my extra special medal, where when you run all 3 races of the super special trifecta, they magnet together to make a bigger version of the other 3 medals you got. So yeah, I have officially completed a marathon. Check that one off the suck it list. Oh, and I came in dead last. If you thought I was exaggerating at any point about my running abilities, or if you saw my short where I said, you know, someone has to come in last, it was me. I was dead last by like 15 minutes. If you thought this was mildly interesting, go ahead and subscribe. I post completely irregularly and maintain the video quality of an early 2000s cat video. Comment below what's the most extreme thing on your bucket list. Check out my amateur photography photo journal on Instagram or my TikTok where I keep eating spicier peppers because maybe I can build up a pepper tolerance. Insomnia's got me bad, folks. It's like 1 a.m. and I have work tomorrow.